Hello and welcome to Penn State Industries' first instructional video on working with polymer clay. My name is Sherman Oberson, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a one-of-a-kind pen using polymer clay. Polymer clay is a colorful man-made clay. It comes in a variety of colors, and with a minimum of tools you'll be able to create an endless variety of one-of-a-kind pens that will amaze all your friends. Today I'm going to show you how to make a pen using the items that are included in Penn State Industries' Poly Clay starter set. Let's get started making a pen. You'll notice that I'm working on a tempered glass cutting board as my work surface. Glass makes the perfect work surface for working with polymer clay because the clay will lightly adhere to the surface, but it can also be easily removed from the surface. Our work surface has a grid and two rulers and some angles on it, which will make it very easy for you to accurately cut your clay. The glass is also a perfect surface because you can see through it and it's very easy to clean up. So let's get started. In your starter kit you'll get 2 packages of backing clay, and I'm using an orange clay right now. And even though the clay is soft, when it comes out of the package it needs to be conditioned. So right now I'm conditioning it very quickly with my hands. Once I get it softened with my hands, I'm going to switch to our acrylic roller. The acrylic roller is a wonderful tool for working with polymer clay, and it also comes in your starter set. And it's perfect for rolling the clay out to an even thickness. For our pen, we need to make the sheet very, very thin, so just keep rolling it out until it gets to the thickness you need. I have one already rolled out that we can use. The next step is to mark our clay, and Penn State has made this set of graduated cutters that come with your starter set, and there's 5 of them, and they match the dimension of every pen barrel that Penn State Industries makes. So they're really handy for our projects. I'm not going to actually cut all the way through. I'm just going to lightly stamp into the clay. This is going to let me know where to put my cane slices, or the pattern for our pen. So you can see I've lightly stamped the clay. Now you might ask, what are canes? Canes are a tube of clay that has a pattern that runs all the way through the tube. It's really an amazing thing. And I'll show you, if I cut this in half, the pattern goes all the way through. So this enables us to cover our pens with an endless variety of pattern, and it's kind of an amazing thing that if I reduce this, the pattern is still going to stay there. I'm going to take this daisy cane, and all I need to do to reduce it is to use both my hands, and one hand is twisting and making the cane smaller while the other hand is pulling. And you'll see that very quickly I'm able to reduce this to half of its size. And now we'll cut it, and you can see. It's kind of like magic. Now let me show you the coolest part of the starter set, and that's our cane slicing jig. And this is really a wonderful tool, and it's going to enable you to get thin, even slices of your canes, and it's going to make your pens look that much better because of that. Now I'm going to show you how to slice the canes. All you need to do is line your cane up with the edge of the jig in the appropriate slot. And what you're going to do is let it overhang the tiniest bit. And now is where our clay slicing blade comes in handy. And these are very, very sharp. The bottom edge of this is sharp and the top edge is dull. And you just want to make sure when you're using it that you have it facing in the right direction. So now with our cane hanging off the edge of our cane slicing jig, we're going to use our blade. You get 2 in your starter set. I'm going to take a nice gentle cut of our cane. You don't need to apply a lot of pressure. And you can see that I got a perfect slice. Now that we have our backing clay stamped, and we have an idea of where we want to place our cane slices, it's time to decide what we would like our design to look like. So it's completely up to you. Here's an example where I mixed two patterns of cane together, and I created an all-over design. In this case, none of the backing clay will show, so it doesn't matter if you use clay fresh out of the package, you can use your scraps. This part is very simple. You simply take your cane slices and decide where you want to put them. And you lay them down one at a time. You can overlap them, or you can just have them next to each other. It's really up to you. Once you have all your cane slices laid down, here's a little tip to get an even better finished product. You could just use your acrylic roller to roll these flat and make them flush with the sheet, but by the simple addition of a sheet of wax paper, you'll get a much better finished product. So I'm going to lay the wax paper down, and with a few simple rolls, we can get these to become completely flush with our backing sheet, and that's what we want because it gives a much better finished product. When you're done, you just peel the wax paper away, and you have a perfectly adhered cane slice. They look as if they were there all along. Now we're going to cover the barrel of the pen, and on our pen kit, the barrel of the pen is actually what's underneath this patterned sheet, so it makes up the body of our pen. That's where we're going to really do all of our work. Now that we have a pattern that we like and we're happy with, we're ready to cut our patterned sheet out. And that's where these cutters come in very, very handy indeed. And so all I'm going to do is simply line it up with my patterned sheet, like so. And then press down. And leaving the cutter in place, remove my excess clay. We don't need that anymore. Now I can pull the cutter off. Using my clay blade, I can easily separate this sheet from the glass work surface, like so. And now before I put it on my barrel, I'm going to take my barrel and line it up with my pattern sheet and cut away the excess, like that. Get that out of my way. And now all we have to do is wrap this around the barrel. Now you'll find that at first it's a little tricky to get it to want to stick, but once you have it wrapped around enough, it'll want to stick to the metal. And now we have this seam, and this really is the trickiest part to cover up. So I'm going to very gently with my fingers press that seam closed. It takes a little practice, but the more you do it, the easier it'll get. And then I'm just going to run my finger along that seam, try to get rid of it. I'm going to gently roll the clay tube on that surface, making sure not to use my fingers, just the palm of my hand, because if you use your fingers, you'll get creases in your pen. So now, what we need to do is trim the ends of our barrel. And here's where our clay blade comes in very, very handy. You're going to just lay it along the edge and trim away any excess clay. Also included in your starter set is our universal mandrel for polymer clay pen projects. And this is an amazingly useful tool for what we're going to do. And so when you open this package up, you'll find that you have a mandrel here that you can cure and finish your polymer clay pen on. And I'm also going to show you an alternate way of actually applying the pattern using this mandrel system. Here I've already loaded up a pen barrel onto our mandrel, and I have the bushings in place. Now what those bushings do is they help us see the actual profile of the pen pieces that fit in on either end. So it enables us to take our clay and make it match that profile. So an easy way to apply the canes as well, if you feel a little nervous about making the flat sheet and doing it that way, is to put some backing clay on your barrel, put it on the mandrel and lock it in place, and then one at a time you can take cane slices and apply them to your pen. And you can just keep going in this fashion until the entire thing is covered. And then as you're going along, you can use your acrylic rod to smooth these slices to get a great finish. And you can see with very little effort that I'm able to smooth these down. And make them seamless. The last part of your mandrel is an end bushing, and this is a large bushing, and it locks in place as well. And the purpose of it is to help you with curing your pen. So they have a flat part, and they line up like that, and you put it on a baking sheet, and then your pen doesn't touch the baking sheet, so it enables you to cure it without getting a shiny mark on the barrel. There's two important things to remember when you're curing your clay, and the first is that you want to make sure that your temperature is correct. You don't want to burn the clay. That's the only time when the clay is really unsafe, is when it's burned. The fumes are unsafe at that point. And that's why in your starter set, we included this oven thermometer. How I cure my pieces is I preheat my oven. I use a dedicated oven for clay. If you're going to bake in your home oven, I recommend that you put it in a covered container. Tin foil makes a great cover. But I really think the best way to do it is to get a little toaster oven or a convection oven and dedicate it to clay. I put my thermometer in there and I preheat it to 275 degrees. Once the oven is preheated, now my mandrel system makes the perfect system to cure my clay, because the clay won't touch the metal surface of the tray, which would give it a shiny spot. So let's pretend that our oven is preheated. I'm going to put that in there. We're going to cure it at 275 degrees for 30 minutes. We have two options at this point. We can let it cool to room temperature, which would take about an hour, or if you want to do it very quickly, you can take a bowl of cool water and take your pen out. Now pretend that this is hot, and we're going to take it out and plunge it into our cold water. That will cool it instantly. Once we have the pen cooled to room temperature, we're going to be ready to sand and finish our pen. So let's do that. So you can see that our mandrel system, the second great use of it, is that we can attach it to a drill or a lathe, whichever you have, and this will enable us to sand it so incredibly quick. And the mandrel system locks it in place. And I'm just tightening this to make sure. So now when I spin my drill, this is locked in place. So included in your starter set, you get 4 sanding pads and you get 4 Abralon finishing pads. So the important thing to know about the sanding pads is that on the back of them, they have a grit. And you want to start with the lowest number grit. So in the case of our sanding pad, it's 220. Now, most of your work to get this pen looking great is going to be done with this 220 grit, because if the 220 grit doesn't take it off, none of these other grits are going to do it. So this one is the one that's going to take the longest, but even this is really only going to take 15 to 20 seconds. It's really, really simple. So I'm going to cup my sanding pad in my hand and place it up against this. I'm going to start the drill going first. Now, one thing to note, if you're sanding polymer clay dry, you should wear a dust mask. I'm not going to do it right now because you want to be able to hear what I'm saying. But pretend I am. Now, the important thing is as this drill is spinning, I'm moving the sanding pad with it, and I'm getting all of that polymer clay, all the mistakes I made with my fingerprints and such, and all the imperfections to come out. And you'll see, look at all that dust. That is the polymer clay coming off. So now I have this sanded as much as I would like with 220. Now I move to the next grit. And we're going to do these really quick. Now you're just going to move through each of these grit. Now once I have all of these done, the next step is to switch to our Abralon pads. Now these are done wet. And these start at 500 grit and go up to 4,000. Now this 4,000 is going to give your pen an incredibly great surface. So we're going to start with our 500. We're going to dip it in our bowl of water, shake off any excess, and same thing, we're just going to place it up against our pen, making sure that we're moving. And you can see even there we're getting a lot of the finish to come off. And this is going to give us a really wonderfully smooth pen. So now taking each grit, you're going to do it for about 10 seconds a pad. And again, it's the same process. You're just wetting it and applying. When we're done, we're going to dry the pen off using a paper towel. Now, the next step is to finish the pen. And I've chosen to finish this pen with a product called Aussie Oil. And this is a friction finish, and it's very easy to apply. We apply it basically the same way that we sand. We're just going to take a paper towel now and putting a couple of drops of the oil onto that paper towel, bring it up to our pen and apply the finish. Now the friction of this spinning is going to set this finish, and it's going to give you a really wonderful shine. So we do one coat, get rid of any excess, and we just repeat that for 3 coats. Now our final step before we finish our pen for assembly is to buff it with a soft cloth. I'm just getting any of the excess oil that didn't get absorbed. And now I'm going to take a piece of polar fleece. You can really use any soft cloth though, anything you have handy. And same thing, we're just going to cup it to the bottom of our pen. And I'm just making sure I cover the entire surface. And you'll see the end result is a shiny, beautiful pen barrel. Now we're just about done. Included in your starter set and what we've been covering in this demo is the Chrome Executive Twist pen, and you get 5 kits in your starter set, and you can see the finished pen here. So now I'm going to actually construct the pen for you. Now in your instructions there's going to be a diagram that shows you exactly how you have to lay everything out to press it. And our pen press is going to come very handy in doing this, and I highly recommend if you're going to make any pens that this is the first thing you buy, because it really is an essential tool. It's going to make your life a lot easier. You're going to take your pen barrel and you're going to take your pen tip and you're going to insert it on one end of your barrel. And in the case of this design, it doesn't matter how it's placed because we don't have a front and a back. So we just push this spring back, slot the barrel in place. We insert this block here, which is going to stop our press when I push it, and then apply slow, even pressure until the pieces are joined together, like that. Now we're going to take our clip mechanism and we're going to apply that to the other side. And now this, because we want to place our clip where we want it, we're going to decide where that goes up against our pattern. Now if you have a messy seam, that's a perfect place to put it because it'll hide that seam for you. So now that we have the clip in place, we push this back again, get it all lined up, and once again apply slow, even pressure. There, it's on now. Now it's very simple. We just take our refill, we put the spring on the end, and we drop it in. We take our twist mechanism, we place it on the end, and we twist until it can't twist anymore. And that's how you know when you're done. And the refill will come out. Now our last step is just to take our chrome cover and slide it over our twist mechanism and press it. And we're done. We have a wonderful, one-of-a-kind pen that will be a perfect gift for anyone. And you can see that with our kit, the possibilities are endless. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to check out our website for hundreds of other kits. There's everything you can imagine, and all of them can be covered with polymer clay.